Hey everyone, this is part 2 of the workshop discussing our defensive system for middle and upper kicking techniques. So once we've got a handle on identifying which side is attacking and meeting it with the first response hand and keeping our defensive shell, and we're getting used to, maybe after a couple of months, someone is getting used to these defensive tactics, then we would progress into a parry. Okay, so if someone's kicking, obviously we want to try and block the kick. That's our first priority, and we want to block it in a good position so that we're ready to counter. However, if we are able to catch the kick and parry, we can actually control to a certain extent where our opponent's foot is going to end up. Okay, so where possible, we don't want to reach out and try and grab the leg, right? But if they leave the leg out there for long enough, we want to try and catch it, right? And set up some counters from there. Right? So if it's a middle, we're catching that way. If it's a high kick, again, we're catching here, bringing it down. And then if it's a front kick, we've already got it going in that direction. So we're already parrying. It's just a matter of using the forearm to push out a little bit further. Right leg, if it's a middle kick, I'm catching here and parrying around. Right? Again, on the right side, I see his right leg moving, but he goes to a high kick. I'm keeping that same movement, catching and parrying. And then if he goes into the front kick, same thing. I'm just changing the angle slightly and parrying around. Now, what we do with that depends on where we want to position them and what sort of counters we want to throw out. So we might choose to, with the parry, bring the kick just down in front, okay, and then come into whatever technique counter we're using here. Or we might want to actually move them quite a ways away from here, get them out, and then start to attack the back leg, or even incorporate some foot sweeps. Okay. For most beginners, I think the easiest counter is to use a kick guided towards the leg that they're kicking with. Okay, so if they're kicking with their right leg, right, we're going to block, counter, and then kick with our left leg to their right leg.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't already, please check out my book, The Science of Striking, a complete guide to strength and conditioning for combat sports.
Right, and then if they're kicking with their left leg, okay, we're blocking here and then countering. Now, we're not, this isn't necessarily going to cause a lot of damage, but it can off-balance them and it can set us up for something else. All right, so if they're kicking with the left leg, right here, we're off-balancing them slightly and then using that to build on our techniques. All right? And then a further counter, if you're getting used to this technique, is to then counter with the right leg. So if they're kicking with their right leg, I'm getting that right leg in position and then I'm attacking here. So at this point, I'm able to strike in a way where I'm more sort of compressing the leg, as we've talked about in other low kick videos. And that's going to be a more damaging technique, but it is a more difficult technique to time and land. All right? So if we're talking about in priority of learning for beginners, we will practice 1, identifying the kicking side, 2, working on our defensive shell, 3, working on the parry, 4, starting to incorporate a counter with the opposite side, and then 5, try and incorporate a counter on the same side to get a more effective low kick technique. Right? So if you're struggling with your upper quadrant defense, have a go at just applying this sort of framework and trying not to rush it. So it may take 3 or 6 months, depending on how frequently you're sparring and drilling, to get used to it. But once you get used to building this system, you'll find that defending against these upper quadrant kicking attacks becomes a lot easier.